Hey and welcome to this video. If it's your first time here, my name is Lachlan Rowson.
I'm Raf.
And we are Australia's #1 health and fitness podcast, The Mind Muscle Project. So, if you're here, what you can expect from us in the future is...
Well, we interview the biggest names in fitness. On Mondays, we've had Matt Fraser, Brent Bukowski, Pat Vellner, pretty much all the boys.
On Wednesdays, we talk about our athletic experience in our mid to early 20s. We've been to regionals multiple times. We talk about the most current and the most exciting new stuff in our industry.
And on Fridays, on the podcast, we delve into fitness business. So we've started 3 gyms ourselves, and we talk about where we want to go with them, how we're doing it, and how to succeed in the fitness industry.
So if you want to see more from us in the future, more exciting content, interviews, we've got heaps of stuff. You can go to the links below. We've got our website. We've got the top 10 most downloaded podcasts of all time. You guys will really enjoy those. And we've got plenty more content on our Instagram, so go there as well. And if you like videos, subscribe to the YouTube channel down below. All right, My Muscle Project, welcome back to another episode. Today we have on another OG, Matt Chan. If you listen to this podcast and you don't know who Matt Chan is, that's exciting, because now you're gonna find out who Matt Chan is. And when we started CrossFit in 2011, 2010, there was not many people on the YouTube. There was not many people being promoted by CrossFit. There was maybe a handful of people. If those of you that remember the Journal back in the day, there was Rogue versus Again Faster. Still probably one of the greatest CrossFit series of all time. Yes. And Matt was a part of that. So Matt, you've actually been in the game for a long time. You've been on the seminar staff. You've competed at the CrossFit Games individually. You have an affiliate, or I'm not really sure where you stand with the affiliate now. That's kind of my opening question. But yeah, you've definitely done a lot for the sport of CrossFit and just CrossFit in general, and helping people, which is fantastic. So it's great for us to get you on and talk about some things. Now,
Thanks for having me.
There was a video a long time ago. I'm not sure exactly what the details are at, but I specifically remember it because when I opened an affiliate, it was something I considered. You started CrossFit Verb, which is your gym, which is a beautiful gym, by the way. Back in the day when you saw CrossFit gyms on HQ's videos, they weren't very tidy or very clean or well painted. But so Verb really stood out. And I remember you saying, we got stuck in the rat race, of trying to build this gym and be successful and that sort of thing. And we saw, let's not do this for a while. I'm not sure exactly what happened behind the scenes, but you basically packed up shop, went in a caravan and just took around, rock climbing and doing pull-ups outdoors and all that cool stuff. But it seems like you're kind of back at the gym now. I'm not really sure what the situation is there, but can you maybe backtrack to when you made that decision and kind of all that sort of happened, and then now you've kind of come back and kind of where you're at with all that stuff now?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, like you said, we opened up CrossFit Verve in 2008, October of 2008, and we quickly built a good following and a pretty good membership base so that we could continue to expand and rent a larger place and invest in our equipment and try to do a professional job of training people utilizing the CrossFit method. And quickly by 2011, our affiliate had grown to over 400 members, which was pretty odd at that point in time for most affiliates to have a large gym like that. I mean, they definitely existed, but I think in the Denver area we were an exception to the rule. And it just ate my wife and I alive. We poured our heart and soul into it, and at the time she was studying to be a nurse. I was firefighting as my career. I was, we opened the gym. It was thriving. I had competed in a few CrossFit games, and I was starting to take that much more seriously. And 2012 rolled around, and I decided to retire from firefighting so that I could pursue the CrossFit games and the affiliate, on its own. And obviously we did well in those 2 ventures. I took second place in the CrossFit games in 2012. And the affiliate continued to grow past 400 members. And, we burned out in 2013. My wife and I decided that we were going to take some of the earnings from the CrossFit games and buy an Airstream, which is, like you said, a caravan, and travel the United States, the Western United States, for a year and see where it led us. And we did that, and it was great. And I even qualified for the 2013 CrossFit games while training and traveling in that Airstream. So that's a pretty big accomplishment as well. But around mid 2014, we started to realize that the management that we had left in the hands, or sorry, CrossFit Verve in the hands of, was not to our expectations, which we have very high expectations. You know, I'm sure by most gym standards, it was more than most would expect. But my wife and I just have very high expectations, and we want things run a certain way. But we also decided at that time that we no longer could do it. We were working for CrossFit HQ full time, traveling 40 to 48 weekends a year. Again, pursuing crazy, right? But pursuing the CrossFit Games as well. And we just decided, you know what? I think it's time for us to pass this along to the next owner and let it thrive on its own. And luckily enough, Courtney Shepard and Eric Clancy, two great members and trainers at the gym, purchased the gym, and I am now a member of CrossFit Verve, and I'm happy to say that it's still a wonderful gym, and they've expanded, and it's still beautiful. So if you're ever in the Denver area, come check it out.
Yeah, that's nice.
Cool.
How'd it's obviously not an easy decision or a process as well to sell your gym. No. How long did it take for you to kind of get to that point? Like, was it just kind of sitting over dinner? It's like, you know what, we should sell this, or was it just a really long, drawn out process and discussion?
As many of you guys know, gym owners know, the fighting and the stress and all of that starts before you even open the doors, right?
Of course.
You've got all these expectations of how things should be run, and the days of the week that you need to sit down and update the blog, and you know, the day who's going to work what hours, and everybody that owns a gym knows what I'm talking about.
Stressing out already.
It's a fucking nightmare. It's a fucking nightmare, and it literally consumes your life. So I think the minute we opened the gym, we bit off more than we can chew, and we continued to kind of chew on that for the next 6 years. And we got to a point where Sheree and I were just like, you know what, we should take a little bit of a backseat to this, because it was kind of breaking us apart a bit. So we decided that our relationship was worth more than the gym was to us. So we made that decision in 2012.
And do you feel like if you are a gym owner and maybe your heart is not in it as much to just, be there day to day and put the effort in that maybe you used to, because you've reached that point, do you think, because you've kind of done both, stepping back and letting somebody else run the gym can be a really good idea? Or do you think like, hey, if your heart is not 100% in it, you should just like completely get rid of it, which is where you ultimately went to, so someone can just have the same, I guess, all-in mentality that you had at one point?
I think it's really up to the person. I think some people might do fine handing over the reins to another person. I am not that person. I know that if I gave the reins to my gym to another person, whether they were doing a wonderful job, I know that it would drive me crazy watching things happen the way that I would not do them. And I would drive myself crazy. I would drive the person who's managing the gym crazy. I would drive my wife crazy. So yeah, that's not for me. But I think that a lot of people can do that. They can hand off the reins to the management that they hire, and then they can go work on another project or open another gym and be entirely successful with both of them. I am not that person. I hold on to the reins too tightly. So I just identified that and decided it was time to let it go.
With the other OGs that you obviously still hanging out with, we don't have to like name any names or anything like that still own affiliates and maybe still go through a lot of the pains that you used to go through, and could potentially have an option to step away, could have another means of income or whatever. Is that like something they come to you with sometimes for advice, or there's something maybe they whinge you about a lot? Like the affiliate landscape has obviously changed dramatically since when you ran your gym successfully and sold it. Like, how do you feel about those conversations maybe that you have, if you have them, with some of the guys you've known for a long time that still have held on to their affiliates?
I think the big thing is that I think most of the guys that I came up with and opened gyms around the same time that I did, we all recognized at the same time that we're not going to get rich doing this without throwing our soul into it, and basically selling our soul to the affiliate. But if you recognize that and you accept it for what it is, that, hey, you know what, I can own this one gym or two or three gyms and make a very good living. You know, I can make a 6-figure living, but probably not ever be able to live in excess. And you accept that, then owning a gym is a wonderful job. You are your own boss. You can run things the way that you want. You can make decisions like painting the walls pink, you know, I mean, whatever you want to do, it's your place. And that's a wonderful, wonderful place to be, because you can set the tone, you can set the atmosphere in the gym. But I think a lot of the guys that I came up with, and like you said, some of the OGs, like, you know, again, it's not necessary to name names, but a lot of those guys, they have a lot of stake in the game beyond just the affiliate level now, writing programming or running seminars. And, you know, when you compare those things to potentially the time that an affiliate demands in person, it's much easier and much more attractive of a job to sit at home with your family and type on a computer for just a few hours a day, as opposed to life coach people every single day for multiple hours.
Yeah, it's funny how you say life coaching. That's kind of the theme that we keep bringing up, is like, if you're delivering a good service, yeah, you're coaching someone. It's not the training. It's all the stuff outside. The training is the easy part. It's like, all right, when you leave here, don't drink a beer, you know, don't go for the burger, you know, go for the salmon or whatever, right? I mean, obviously we preach balance as well, but there's so much more that goes into it. I mean, you're changing someone's behavior. You're changing how they live their life. You're making them suffer for an hour, which they don't want to do. And then you're making them cut out all the foods that they like. And then you're making them stop all the bad habits that they love doing, like watching Netflix up until 2 a.m., you know? And it's
Ultimate fun police.
it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. You're trying to do a lot, right? You're trying to make a big difference. And yeah, like you said, if you're not like all in, if you don't accept that that's what you're doing, then it's going to be tough. Like you're going to find it difficult.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's a very fulfilling job for a lot of people, you know, getting involved in other people's lives. I know that when I started that job, I'm not a real good people person. I don't do well with being in a large group of people and just trying to socialize one-on-one. That's just not me. But when I get in a large group of people and people look to me for information that I feel that they feel I'm an expert on, I thrive in that job. So, you know, I think a lot of people can identify that gym owners, the people who are really suited for this, love that part of the job. Is like people looking at them like they're the expert and they need that life coaching. And even if they only take away 1% of what's said between those two people, that 1% can change their lives over time.
Yeah, of course. That's a good point. Yeah. Obviously the job with HQ and teaching seminars and stuff, something you've been doing for a long time as well. I remember, you know, I think most people that did their level 1, especially early days, 2011, 2010 sort of thing, I felt like a lot of people would come back and say, I want to be on the seminar stuff. My goal one day is to be on the seminar. For whatever reason, that was like
all the time.
Yeah, that was like a super appealing job. How has that changed for you over time? Obviously, when you first started, you're kind of like riding the wave of CrossFit. So not only is it novel and it's new, but you're like, you know, the leaders in this like booming, you know, just movement, right? And now obviously the numbers are dropping off and it's a little bit different. Maybe the clientele have changed. Can you kind of walk us through that journey a little bit, how it's been?
Yeah. So, I mean, I was lucky enough to be introduced to CrossFit in 2007. I got my level 1 in early 2008. And I you know, I was all in. I'm one of those people, I jump all in and I commit everything to whatever the goal is, at the expense of a lot of other things. And in 2009, in January of 2009, I was asked to be on the seminar staff. And, you know, I went through the internship process and got hired on, and I loved it. I loved every second of it. because everybody that's been to level 1 knows it was new, it was different, it was in your face, and it was, the answers to the questions sometimes were just brutally honest, and the people delivering that message sometimes just didn't give a fuck about you. And for some reason it felt good to hear it, like, oh man, that stings, but he's right. It was fun. It was fun, and it was raw. But unfortunately, you can't tell people the truth all the time and get away with that, because people get hurt. And so I think CrossFit recognized that, in order for this to be a long-term business, we need to tame our trainers a bit and stick to content.
Yeah.
And that was the kind of the beginning of, the level 1 as it is today. We really, we have a manual that we stick to of information that we need to present so that people can pass tests, as well as hear Coach's original words, Coach Glassman's original words that he designed CrossFit around. And I fully believe in every bit of that. And they still give us the freedom to pepper in some of our own stories and experiences at the affiliate level or in life, so that it can still be your own lecture. So I guess with time that kind of evolved, where people had gone through they had gone through the level 1. And I think, I don't want to say numbers, but I want to say the last time I heard an actual number, it was around 90,000 people had been through the level 1.
It's crazy.
I mean, how many people could possibly go to a level 1 certification to become a trainer?
Yeah.
After a while, it's going to drop off. And that's inevitably what ended up happening a little bit. But now we're seeing people come back through the level 1 as they recertify or re-up their level 1. And some people jump into the level 2 and all that stuff. So I think it was really cool for a long time to be kind of the old boys club and old girls club, whatever, in the level 1. But as it kind of evolved into a much more professional atmosphere, I think it just changed, and I think most people can recognize that. And I love every second of the level 1 now, the way it is. But it's definitely, if you go to a level 1, you're going to hear the same content no matter where you're at in the States, in Australia, in New Zealand. You're going to hear the same content, and that's on purpose.
Yeah, I've always wondered, like, back in the day, there wasn't as much critique on CrossFit and what you guys were sort of saying, right? And then, over time, it's funny because over time, actually, it seems like the stuff that Glassman was saying early on has kind of stuck as truth, but for kind of a middle period, maybe let's say 2015 to start of 18, 17, a lot of those ideas were challenged, and a lot of people would come out and say, this is wrong. I'm a scientist in this. I've studied this sort of research, and maybe, and some of it's true, right? And it started to trickle into the CrossFit, just the athletes and the coaches and what people are programming and that sort of thing. And there's just a whole different landscape of kind of the level of knowledge and how programming is these days. And then obviously, like you said, the stuff's become more cookie cutter and more standard and stuff. Has it felt harder knowing more but not being able to communicate it as much to the attendees?
Well, see, I'm actually a firm believer that the original message of Greg Glassman is the most effective program that I've ever seen. And it's also a program that I love doing, which is hard to say for a lot of other programs. Many of you guys, and your listeners have done all sorts of linear progression weightlifting methods, or the conjugate method, or, training for a marathon in a written down. And most of it, you can get fit, but you don't. I've never done one of those programs where I want to do it again and again and again for years upon years. I've been doing CrossFit since 2007, and I've taken no more than a week break at a time. And it's because it works. It's short. It has the novelty of variety.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to argue with the results that people are getting. I mean, back in the day when somebody walked around with as much muscle tissue as you guys have, and that most of the people participating in the CrossFit program have, it'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? How are you so huge? What the hell's going on here? And all you got to do is just say the word CrossFit, and people are like, of course. Yeah, that's of course what you're doing. Because it's so effective.
Sure.
And people can argue with like things like the zone diet, and that the message from the zone diet is antiquated or it's complicated. But the actual message of even what Greg Glassman was preaching about the zone diet is simply moderation of proteins, carbs, and fats, limiting calories. And nobody can possibly argue with a 40-30-30 diet. You can't, because it's so freaking effective for 90% of the people out there. You know, for the longest time, I've heard people talk about it. For the last few years, it's been the ketogenic diet.
Yeah.
Right? How do you get ripped? Jump on keto. Well, now they're showing that there's long-term negative health side effects to the ketogenic diet. So again, if we just wait out all these methods, you're going to see pluses and minuses with all of them. The one thing that's been steadily consistent of proven results is the CrossFit methodology.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you can do bodybuilding, weightlifting, powerlifting for a period of time, but at the end of the day, nothing's easier than just jumping in a class. Like in terms of just like how simple you want to make things and how little cognitive effort you want to put into it, how much you can have almost no motivation. If you drag yourself into a class, it's always a good workout. You never regret
nothing
it.
compares in the variety. Like you jump into a class, there's so many different movements you're going to do. Whereas I know as soon as I start to do any sort of like goal or like training program, I get so just like small with the exercises that I end up actually doing because it's specific to a goal, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And going back to the idea of just a weightlifting program, like I personally am a person that loves weightlifting, but every time I get onto a program, the next thing that happens is my knees start aching, my back starts hurting, my elbows start hurting, and all I have to do is just go back to the constantly varied functional movements executed at high intensity, and guess what? Everything starts to feel a little bit better. You know, and here's my, so I'm a critic of all programs, including CrossFit. And the one thing that I always kind of in my head was thinking like, this is the one thing about CrossFit that I'm not sure about. And that's the large amount of glycolytic work that we do, which is anaerobic work, if you will, which produces a large amount of acidity. And I was always kind of wondering what the long-term health effects would be of a highly acidic environment. And then I started looking into the workouts that are posted on CrossFit.com, right? The experts, most of them are 10 to 20 minutes, around 15 minutes. And that's aerobic exercise. That's aerobic exercise. What I was judging CrossFit on was the program that I enjoyed doing, which is short, high intensity stuff. Yeah. So really, I think we kind of almost bias what we enjoyed as we program, which can affect our perception of what CrossFit is, which is it's apples and oranges. Still fruit, just different fruit.
Yeah, definitely. How do you feel about, a few people have said, because of the recent changes with the CrossFit Games, which we can get into detail later, but, some people have kind of come out and say, and I mean, everyone's different on this stuff, but the CrossFit Games were in terms of from a purely programming perspective, were the worst thing for the affiliates, because they would look on to the CrossFit Games and they'll go, that's fucking awesome.
Cool.
That's
Event
hard.
7, that can be Thursday. Event 8, that can be Friday.
Probably not as literally as that, but that's what people want to do. Lots of people started coming into the gym when they started doing the Netflix thing, wanting that sort of thing, saying, oh, like we've done a bit of this today, but when are we going to do more heavy squat snatches, in workouts? When are we going to do more muscle ups and stuff in workouts? When are we going to do more kipping pull-ups? When they weren't necessarily ready for those movements. The CrossFit Games athletes are obviously displaying the highest level of fitness, the highest capabilities of all the movements. People just want to jump straight to that, and they don't want to do the progression. So almost in a way, affiliate owners have felt the pressure to program that stuff, maybe and skip a bit of progression, just because that's kind of what people were after, because that's what they came in for, that's what they saw. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's been going on since 2010. That affiliates feel the demand for CrossFit's games, or even I could just kind of limit that to saying competition style programming, or a program that prepares them for that style of competition. And in reality, I mean, I co-wrote the CrossFit Competitors course with Chris Spieler and Eric O'Connor, and we get that question every single seminar that we would teach, is how do I implement this at the affiliate level? And it's like, actually, you don't. You implement the CrossFit method, and the 10% of people that have the smallest interest in going to a competition, you throw those people a bone by giving them one or two things to work on. But I do think that, hey, when you write a program at the affiliate level, you program for the best and you scale for the rest. So you should see things like handstand push-ups. You should see things like muscle ups. You should see things like handstand walking. But I expect no more than 20% of the class to actually be able to perform those movements. So I think a big thing is the education of the trainer to know how to communicate the intended stimulus of every workout. Hey, this isn't meant to be a 25-minute workout. This is meant to be a 6-minute workout. So if you can't walk on your hands, here's your scale for today.
Yeah, I also agree, because like I think we touched on it really briefly in our meeting the other day, but if you're not programming the cool stuff as well, through a portion of the week, people have nothing to aspire to. If they're like, all right guys, ring rows and burpees, they're like, oh, but we can do both those things. Like, but if it's chest to bars and burpees, they're like, oh, I'm not at the chest to bar yet, but man, it's going to be great when I can jump into class and do chest to bars like that guy over there. There has to be some thing that they want to chase as well. Otherwise you lose the carrot at the end of the
It is unique though. Like, there's not many other programs, I think, that pretty much every other class or program I see, programs for the weakest person can do everything.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, how cool is that? You see things at the CrossFit Games, and we all think we can do them, right? You see these wild movements, and it's like, you know what? I think I can do that. And then you go into the gym and you try one rep, and you're that close to getting it. You're not even close. And the great part is, though, people are trying it. They're trying things like handstand walking forward and backwards, back roll to support, and all these great skills that are so far beyond the reach right now. They're going to work towards it if they stick with the CrossFit program. And that's one of the things that I personally, on my journey have really loved, is setting goals and trying to achieve those goals over long durations of time.
What just bring it back to your CrossFit Games journey. Obviously you had your best year in 2012. At what point did it sort of, or how did you lose interest around it? Was it an age thing? Was it other things in your life took priority sort of thing? Like, how did that journey kind of change?
Yeah. So, I think in 2012, that was 6 years ago. I'm 40 now. So I was 34 years old at that time, and 34 now. I don't think there's anyone in the CrossFit Games that's 34 years old. No. It's a young man and woman sport because of the rate at which you can recover. Is that to say that it can't be done? No. But, in 2013, I went to the CrossFit Games, and I think I placed 18th or 19th or something like that. And every year after that, the game was just stepped up. 2014, I couldn't participate because of a back injury. 2015, I had a catastrophic injury to my leg that I ended up sidelined for almost 6 months, but I still made it to the regionals. And I took 9th place in the regionals that year. And that was with a fuck ton of training, and it didn't cut the mustard. And I think after that regional, I just kind of was just like, you know what? I committed a lot of time of my own, and that I should be sharing with my wife, family, and friends, to this CrossFit Games thing. And I think it's time for me to stop being so selfish and really give back and spend time with my wife doing the things that she loves to do as well as what I love to do.
Mm. Yeah, it definitely reached that point. I think even at the regionals level for so many people, right? So many people that were like, okay, next year,
You got to be a professional athlete at the regionals now.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, people that would qualify for the CrossFit Games didn't qualify for regionals. Like people that were
Right.
at the CrossFit Games missed qualification to their regionals. Like that is, and that would happen in 1 year. Like it was just it became so ridiculous that literally the second you took your foot off the gas,
Even Brent Bukowski nearly didn't qualify for the regionals.
Yeah,
like all year thing.
It's the level is so high right now, and so many people are in it. It's just, I mean, it can't be chased. Like there's kids doing 180 kilo front squats and they're like not even 18, and it's like, the fuck hope do we have? If you're getting towards 30, it's like it's some crazy shit.
Well, but here's the thing about that. I think anyone that actually spends a little time training, they'll have a wake up call pretty quickly. They're either cut out for this or they're not cut out for this. Everybody wants to go to the CrossFit Games. Not everybody wants to do the training. And it's one of those things that, like, if you spend literally just 6 weeks working towards a goal, if you can't finish a program on a daily basis for 6 weeks, there's no fucking way you're going to make it to the regionals. There's no way you're going to make it in the top 100 of the open even. So to even score in your region in the top 100 is quite an accomplishment now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because it's just, I mean, there's so many people doing it as well. Like there's so many like outlying athletes that'll push out there. The obviously the recent changes to that CrossFit Games season has come as probably a shock to many people, and I'm sure you still have a lot of friends at HQ that probably lost their jobs in that process as well. What has been your general feelings towards it, maybe initially, and then I assume they've probably changed over time as to kind of how the changes came about? Because as far as we've heard through all the people we've spoken to, is no one saw this coming.
Yeah, wow. It's shocking. It's shocking. It really is. You're right. No one saw it coming. There's a lot of people whose lives were centered around this stuff that now they've got to change what they're doing. I mean, the question I have is, if you were a regional level competitor or team competitor and you trained every day to make it to regionals so that you could have your regionals be your CrossFit Games, and represent, companies that paid you money. I don't know if I really understand what those people can do now. It's up in the air. So that's maybe my one question is, like, is somebody that's a top 20 athlete in regionals going to be able to compete at some level in CrossFit, in the CrossFit Games anymore? I don't know the answer to that. So I think I'm going to stay tuned because I don't know the answer to that. I think these competitions that we see, being organized, I don't even know who's going to be invited or what the qualification process is going to be for those.
Yeah, I mean, to be frank, it's probably like not the end of the sport. That's definitely not what I'm saying here. But yeah, like we've talked about before, it's the flattening out or the downtrend of well, they're not putting as much money into it. Obviously, that's going to change things a lot, and it's just going to be different for a little bit, to the point that a lot of people may lose interest in the sport, especially because regionals was, like we were saying before, open regionals games. It's like that's CrossFit. Like that's a sport of fitness. Like that's what it is. With us, these 3 steps. Like they're established. We've been doing them for ages. They're legit. They got like proper camera teams there. They got stadiums. They got all this stuff. And now you kind of stab it right in the middle, and it starts bleeding out. I don't know. To rebuild the sport again, it's hard.
The interesting part about this is, though, this stuff has happened since 2008. Okay, 2008, we signed up for the CrossFit Games, and you went to the CrossFit Games. I mean, imagine that, right?
Yeah.
And then in 2009, they threw a wrench in the system, and now there's a regionals that you have to go to. And most of the people in the 2008 CrossFit Games could no longer compete at that level. So they were like, well, what do I do? And then they, fast forward to 2010, they had sectionals. So if you didn't sign up in time to go to sectionals, then there was no regionals for you.
Yeah.
And then they came out with the open, and then they came out with regionals. And, I think it's an evolution, and coach is no dummy. He probably has a vision that we can't anticipate yet, that is going to be just as impressive as what we've seen in the past. I think it's just going to be a wait and see. He's not a dumb man. He's a genius, and he knows how many people are involved in CrossFit because of the CrossFit Games. And I don't think that he's going to let this financial issue that I'm guessing that what this is all about stop him from changing the world. So I don't think that it's going to be as negative as many people think it will be. But the outcome of the competitions is going to be very interesting. I think that what we're going to see is that each of these sanctioned events are going to each be like a CrossFit Games. And that's actually very exciting. My question is, though, how do you qualify and show up for one of those? If it's invite only, then we're going to see the most popular athletes there, not necessarily the fittest athletes.
You qualify on Instagram followers, right?
Yeah.
It's like over 50,000 events and 100,000 events. Let's go.
That's what it could be. And, that would be unfortunate. That would be unfortunate. But at the same time, the people that are running those events need people to show up so that they can make money and make those events worthwhile. So fill in the blank, whatever famous athlete you want that maybe is not the fittest athlete that shows up there. Hey, if they've got people that want to take pictures with them and they pay an entry fee, or they pay a online subscription to watch the event online, then by all means they should be there. But what about the people that are actually the fittest people in the world? I don't know.
Do you feel like there was any like opportunity in that maybe you were aware of, or got approached to you that the CrossFit Games could have pivoted in one point that you feel like was sort of like a missed opportunity? Sort of what I'm getting at is like, I felt like personally that the sport was going to be sold at some point, like separated and sold into to Reebok or to Nike or to someone or whatever, and have them kind of run with it. And the same way that I saw it happen with the UFC. Do you think that would have been the best path for it, instead of CrossFit holding on to it now? Because it seems like Glassman's vision was to help people get off the couch and to cure diabetes, not to find rich phoning.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, unfortunately. I think what you've seen, if you do some research into the larger events that are currently being held, they've changed hands. From owners that initially started the business, or affiliate owners that initially started a small competition, and they changed hands to somebody who really knew how to run a competition and made it a national event or even an international event. You're right. There's probably the opportunity is out there for the expansion of the CrossFit Games. Does Coach Glassman want that to leave his business? Probably not. It's a remarkable thing, and it's a movement. It's a community. It's a cult, and I don't think that money will necessarily follow it if it leaves the hands of CrossFit. So I don't know the answer to that. I do know that he's not, like I said, he's not a dummy. It's going to probably be successful in its newest form, and people just need to probably just have confidence that their sport is not going to change drastically.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna, when you mentioned Cole, I was actually gonna bring this up later, but I don't know if it's actually made it all the way to Denver, but there was a movement that started in Australia called F45. It's like a franchise group fitness chain, basically. It was like the gap between CrossFit
and like a boot camp, or like a cycle class.
Yeah. So they kind of took, it doesn't seem like you heard of it, but basically they're at like maybe 1,500 locations right now. Completely saturated the Australian market, moving into the US. I think they've got maybe 500 or 600 locations in the US or whatever.
It's moved into the UK.
Yeah, it's going crazy, right? In the same way that CrossFit is going crazy. it's a franchise, so it's a lot different. But it's stimulated an interesting conversation because obviously there's 15,500 affiliates of last count I think I saw, and there's coming up to 2,000 of F45. F45 is basically like if you scaled every movement in CrossFit in like a week, and then you just made the program the most scaled back version, like banded jumping pull-ups, 10-kilo dumbbell thrusters.
Let's be real about it. I mean, I haven't heard of that specific program F45, but there are 25 of them in the United States.
Orange Theory.
Fill in the. Yeah, exactly. Orange Theory. There's a bunch of them. Not everybody wants to do high intensity. Not everybody wants to do heavy weights. And, frankly, if people are moving, that's great. But I think we all kind of know the longevity of our program is phenomenal because of the variety and novelty of the variants of heavy weights, light weights, body weights. It keeps people interested for a long period of time. I don't know if the same could be said for F45 or many of these high intensity, low weight, low skill things. Because again, like what we talked about, if I see a backflip or a back tuck on CrossFit programming, I probably am not going to see that at Orange Theory. I would, hey, if I didn't know how to do a back tuck, I would go into class just to be like, okay, what the fuck is my coach going to teach me to how to do a backflip today? Like, what is going to happen here? How is he going to scale me? And the cool part about that is people are going to start to move towards the skill. And if you're never challenged with a new skill or weight, how far can you progress?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like we know it's superior, right? But not the general public doesn't know that. I think it's more like the discussion now, and what's made it so interesting is because of the rise of these franchises versus the affiliate model. There's become this discussion, this almost debate as to like, okay, CrossFit's obviously there's more affiliates now, but do we need more affiliates or do we need better affiliates? Potentially we need more affiliates in the newer markets, which aren't as established. But if you're talking about the US and Australia and Canada, it's completely saturated. And if anything, we need to improve the name of CrossFit. We need to improve the best practices of the affiliates, right? And not all affiliate owners necessarily should be business owners, right? We probably know that. They're great coaches, but when it comes to managing finances and doing marketing and building systems and stuff like that, they're hopeless. So I'm curious to what you think is like, do we need to be rapidly expanding or pushing for more affiliates or spending money on affiliate growth in the current saturated markets? Or is it time for CrossFit to do something that is going to help the affiliates? And unless you got some special deal, we pay our money and you don't get any best practices. You don't get any like necessarily hands-on help like a franchise would get, right? Which is why franchises can be so successful, is because it's like, here is the handbook of how to get people in the door, to make them happy, to get them results, and et cetera, et cetera. So just wanted to know what you think about that.
Well, the nice, sure. Yeah. The nice difference between a franchise and an affiliate model is that the franchise is obviously much more costly. An affiliate model, I'm paying for the ability to market myself as a CrossFit gym, and it's $3,000 a year. Is that what you guys are about at? Yeah. And at that price point, it's pretty easy to get into the business, which is something to be said. If I have 30 members and they're paying $100, I'm doing just fine. I'm going to take care of business. But look at it this way. The affiliate model has always weeded out the weak. Even the terrible, it has. Even the terrible gyms have stepped up their game. You agree?
They've stepped up or they've closed.
Yeah, well, I think some people have somehow managed to just hang in there and still just continue for years on end to destroy the name of CrossFit.
Okay, I can agree that there are definitely affiliates out there that are low quality. We'll just put it like that are low quality, and you can attribute that to things such as the environment of the gym itself. Is it clean? Does it have good equipment? is the equipment maintained? Is the bathroom maintained? You could say that there's low quality coaching, there's low quality systems, there's not enough classes, there's there's bad programming. But here's the thing about that. A gym in 2008 that was terrible, if you look at that terrible gym in 2008 and compare it to where it's at now, it's either failed out of the picture entirely, or they've modified their business by improving some of those elements that they are not as good at to at least be able to continue to operate. Otherwise, their people would have left, right?
Yeah, that's true.
The dirtiest gyms have had to step up their game. They are no longer building their pull-up rigs out of pipe, right?
It's true.
I don't know if you guys remember that, but most CrossFit gyms their fucking pull-up rigs were a safety hazard. Yeah. And now we've got the access to great equipment that costs a lot of money, but people are investing in it. And then once they do that, then people start to see, oh, hey, coach is starting to do that. Maybe they go to a level 2, learn a little bit more about how to coach people more effectively. And that's a complete fucking wake-up call to most people. They're like, holy shit, I'm a terrible coach. I can't believe it. That all of those things can contribute to a slow increase in the quality of the coaching and the quality of the affiliate. So if they don't have that happen, eventually people are going to be like, the gym down the street's pretty awesome, and it's the same amount of money. And yeah, this community is cool, and I got a lot of friends here, but that place is pretty sweet. I'm going to head over there.
Yeah, that's definitely happened to us a lot. Yeah, I mean, the idea that CrossFit gyms will, get some kind of best practices help, I think, from CrossFit. I don't really ever see it happening, but I think what is good is that the best guys and the best girls that run gyms and own gyms, obviously you've seen the rise of consultancy in CrossFit gyms. I think even in that field, it's now being weaned out to have some definite market leaders, which is definitely worth it. I mean, those consultants wouldn't have boomed like they boomed if the market wasn't there for them. And so we've seen lots of people kind of gravitate towards those. And like you said, if they're not going to make that investment and they're not going to get that coach and improve at a rapid rate, they're going to get left behind. Which is basically what's happening. And that's a huge part of it as well. On that topic, I was always curious, you ran such a good gym for such a long time. How did you do it without the consultancy market that's kind of taken place? We would credit a lot of our success to having a lot of mentors that we've paid for and a lot of consultancy, but you didn't do it when there was any of those people around. How did you kind of navigate that?
Are you saying why didn't I get involved in the consulting business,
No.
or how did
you pull off such a good gym and have such best practices without? Well, I actually don't know. Did you have a mentor or a business consultant or anything, or a business degree or anything like that?
I have a business degree, but I don't think that my business degree attributed any success to my my affiliate. But I always thought about my job as, there was a couple questions that my wife and I would ask ourselves when we would commit money to or resources to the gym. First, is it going to affect our athletes in a positive way? Are they going to feel the effects of those resources going towards whatever that is? New equipment, new hours, whatever. And that was kind of our guiding tenet of what would make our business decisions for us. But in my heart, I just knew what I wanted. I knew what I wanted when I walked into a gym. I knew the feeling I wanted to have. And I tried to create that in CrossFit Verve. When I walked into the gym and I saw a clean gym that was well organized, that had clean floors, and gave me the chills seeing like badass barbells and clean bumper plates and, a lot of equipment so that everybody could train. That's what I wanted. And it took us years to finally get there. But I also picked up a lot of ideas from visiting other gyms. I had the luck of working for CrossFit in a period of time when people were rapidly changing their affiliate and how it looked and the equipment that they were using. And I was quickly introduced to all sorts of stuff that we didn't do. And here's an example. We at first were like, how are we going to, we had a really small space when we started. And I was like, man, how the fuck are we going to get, 25 people in 1,000 square foot space? What are we going to do? I don't get it. So we were introduced to a gym on the road that used a company called Mind Body Online for scheduling, and they had signups for classes. And I was like, oh shit, that'll fix that problem. And that's just one example. Like, here's another example. At one point in time, I went to a gym and we had our rowers stacked up everywhere. And it always drove me crazy that people would just roll it into the corner, and all this space was taken up in the corner. I was like, God damn it, we're losing all that space. And I walked into this gym and they had these brackets fabricated and then hung on the wall where they could hang the rower by the bottom, or by the back heel of the rower.
Yeah. And
then it was organized on the wall up off the ground. And I was like, oh my God, I gotta do that.
Yeah.
And we figured out how to do it. And, Rogue Fitness ended up making them.
Yeah.
So it was just a matter of being exposed to other gyms and just being impressed by what they do and trying to recreate it on my own timeline so that I didn't have an expectation of going into debt to make it happen.
Yeah, that's important. I think people feel the pressure of that these days because the people honestly are there for the results, right? But it's now moved into a landscape where, okay, everyone's sort of getting good results. What's next? And the next thing is like, okay, people want a change room. They want towel service. They want, some people have float tanks. Some people have saunas. Some people have those fucking running machines.
That's where I see it going next is, the gyms in the United States. I know actually that Australia, New Zealand, Asia is a little bit in front of the United States right now as far as the quality of the training facility. They have, like you said, towel service, which you rarely see in the United States. They have showers that are not just dingy showers. They have very nice showers that hey, I don't actually mind taking a shower here. I actually kind of enjoy it. But then I think what you just mentioned, I think that's the next thing we're going to see. Sauna, contrast baths, potentially recovery area that has all of those great recovery tools that we see high-level athletes using. Because not only is that stuff something that I want to use, but it can also generate more cash flow for the affiliate. If I'm going to offer that stuff, I'm not offering it for free. I'm going to allow people to utilize that stuff with an additional membership. And now I'm expanding my business to see more income based on the membership that I already have. I'm not being greedy because those people will need to change their membership in order to have access to it and make more money, and which allows me to make more money, but it also gives them access to something that they want.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll wonder.
That's the next step. That's what I want.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm divided over it only because I know that it's awesome and it's fantastic and it separates you apart. But I don't necessarily want people picking my gym because we have it better, like because we have the saunas and we have the ice bath. I want people coming here because it's like, I know these guys can get me the results safely that I want. They can transform me in the way that I want, and they do it ethically, and they preach the right message and that sort of thing. And then they like the coaches and that sort of stuff. And I feel like the equipment and stuff should always be secondary to the coaching and the results.
I agree with you 100% as a gym owner. I disagree with you as a gym member because here's the thing. I'm going to walk into a gym and I'm going to walk into the gym that's closest to my house. Number one. Number two, I'm going to visit a couple gyms, not a bunch. I'm going to visit a couple gyms that are closest to my house. And the one that impresses me the most at first glance, that's the one I'm going to join. And that's unfortunate for us as trainers, but that's the harsh truth that if you have a crappy gym where there's dog shit in the corner, but you're the best trainer in the world, nobody is going to go to your gym. Nobody's going to go to your gym because you got dog shit in the fucking corner, bro. But if you've got a sauna and towel service, I'm going to look at that sauna and be like, damn, this is what I want to be a part of. And I might not even notice the trainer.
Well, the truth is there, you just can't see the results when you walk in. It's such a slow process. Like it's kind of try
It
gym for
is.
like 12 months and then make a decision, right?
Mm,
Yep.
mm. Yeah, it's funny. You want people to change what they want, but unless you have millions of dollars, you're not going to change what people want. They're still going to want, yeah, like you said, they're going to want the nice bathrooms and the change room, the towel service, and they're going to want weight loss or whatever. They don't really care about muscle ups and shit yet. It's
Yep.
it's just what we have to accept, I think. And as soon as we accept it, and as soon as we put our efforts into those things, I think we'll definitely attract more people. It's interesting. I think Virgin Active are kind of like leading the way on that. There's I don't know if you've been to Cape Town before, Matt, but there's a new Virgin Active in Cape Town, and they have a shared like workspace. There's like shared workspaces that you get as part of your membership, so you can like have your
Mhm.
office there and that, and then they even have private meeting rooms for the shared workspace. And within that
Genius.
within that shared workspace, like, so they're basically giving everyone any excuse. In that shared workspace, there's also like a sleeping pod area. So like during the day, you can go there, and there's like this full Zen area. Like you have to
They have
leave your
that in Sydney, yeah.
yeah, you have to leave your phone outside, and you get in these pods, and you can take a nap in the
Mm.
pod, and like the pod will
Who
wake you
doesn't
up.
love napping?
It's better than your own house. Like,
I know, right? That's what you want. That's what you want. You want somebody that's going to go into your facility and spend time there. Because if they spend time there, they're going to spend money there. I hate to say that because it sounds capitalist, but hey, this is a business. We need to make money. And if people spend time in your business, they're going to spend money in your business.
Mm.
And if it means that you give them all a little workspace that they can have a stand-up desk and then a lay-down nap pad or pod, then by all means do that. If you have a little diner in the corner that serves paleo foods in macroed out portions, then you should do that because that's going to make you money. It's going to make that side business a little bit of money, and it's going to have people spend more time in your gym.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, it's just tying it all together so that it makes sense for a CrossFit gym as well. There are a few people attempting it that we know of, and they're actually looking to turn it into a franchise potentially down the track, to kind of have a combination of these services, putting them all in one place, and then looking at getting it franchised, which is kind of interesting because now you're building a business within the business, right? I think that's what a lot of people have done with CrossFit. So many successful businesses have come out of CrossFit. Obviously, Rogue being one of them or whatever. But
Oh my gosh.
if there was to be another gym chain that started out of CrossFit, I think some CrossFit affiliates have franchised as
Well, kind of
well.
like NorCal a little bit.
NorCal and I think Brick have done it a little bit as well. Like that is kind of the next evolution. I feel is like the 1% are going to stay, and then anyone that's interested in signing a CrossFit gym, maybe now they'll sign up and open a Brick instead of their own independent CrossFit gym because they want CrossFit, but they want it
Systems
easy. They
and
want the
everything.
systems, and they got the money to invest in that sort of thing. So it's an interesting
Like
evolution.
it goes back to what you said earlier about having access to a mentor. Like if you have access to Jason Khalipa's mind, you might be a little confused for a period of time, but you're going to eventually learn a lot about how to successfully run a business and how to talk to your customers.
Mm.
I love Jason, by the way. He's a good friend.
Mm.
But you're right. And I think that the hard part about navigating that aspect of business, the CrossFit business in particular, is how does that work with the affiliate model? How does that work with the fee that they charge? Because they're very protective of their brand, and I know that they don't allow stuff like chains and stuff like that. And a lot of people have done it, and they've been pursued legally. So if those companies do pursue, go that route, just make sure that you do it in a way that's legal and also pays homage to the methods that you're actually using. CrossFit, we train with CrossFit, and to not give them the credit where the credit's due would be unfortunate.
Before we jump into the final 4 questions, I wanted to speak about your programming for the win. It's obviously it's no secret that it's been a bit of a trend for a lot of high level games athletes to start a program, and you don't want to obviously do the same thing that everyone else is doing, right? So you want to separate yourself a little bit. So where was the idea born for FTW? What was the point of difference? Because, you're a smart guy. You're thinking to yourself, okay, how am I going to make this different to what else is out there?
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, train FTW, or Train for the Win, it was born out of passion for programming. And I think the thing that's really unique about Train for the Win is that we aren't trying to reinvent the wheel as far as the programming that we do. We consider ourselves experts in the field in which we teach. So, for example, my business partner, Eric O'Connor, and I co-wrote the CrossFit Competitors course for CrossFit HQ with Chris Spieler. And we thought it was a natural extension to all these methods that we talk about and all these programming components that we talk about. Let's put them together in a program so people can utilize what we're talking about and use it, if not for their own program, guidepost for program for competitors. And our first program is called Compete. And that's exactly what it is. It's everything that we've preached and also done over the years that we've found to be the most effective method to program for CrossFit athletes. And our program in particular is somewhat unique in that it doesn't require 4 hours of training to complete it. We try to limit our Compete program to an hour and a half or 90 minutes in the gym so that people can also live a somewhat standard life, as long as they continue to focus on things outside of the gym as well. And then that kind of led to the natural extension of our area of expertise, which is programming gyms. So we started programming for CrossFit affiliates, or even non-CrossFit affiliates, where we give them a timeline, we give them a warm-up, a teaching progression for the skills that are being utilized for that day, scaling options for the workout itself, down to very unique scaling options that many people have never tried probably, accessory work and cool down stuff. And we found that we were very successful with that. And that program itself is called Tribe, Train for the Win Tribe. And then our last passion that we just started is called Thrive. And Thrive is a passion of mine. It's a 45 to 60 minute workout from start to finish that includes a simple warm up, some skill building, the workout itself, and some accessory work that's typically bodybuilding, sometimes a little bit of high skill gymnastics stuff. But we take out all of the risk of many CrossFit movements. I'm not having people do handstand push-ups because this program is doing exercise for longevity. I'm a firefighter. I don't have that much time to train anymore. So I want a great program that's going to get me crazy fit in 45 to 60 minutes. And I write my program for me, and that's Thrive. I do Thrive. And all the buddies that I have at the firehouse do Thrive because it's effective. It gets the job done, and they don't have to worry about squat snatching, muscle ups, handstand push-ups. We still give those same stimulus of pressing and power snatching and stuff like that, but we don't require the high skill movements. And we find that it's still extremely effective, and we get testimonials constantly of people. It's changing people's lives. So now I want to bring this back though. So Train for the Win is just like how I describe CrossFit, where you watch all these fancy, I don't want to call it gimmicks because they're not gimmicks, but these flashy, shiny objects that people get into from time to time. I get into them too, but I also look at them pass me by because I know that CrossFit is the method that I program, which is a CrossFit method, is the most effective thing for most people. And I'm into all sorts of other stuff, whether it's Olympic weightlifting, functional bodybuilding, utilizing unique implements like sandbags and all that stuff, and kettlebell sports stuff. I'm into all of that, but I still know that at the root of everything, I know what it's going to get me fit and keep me fit. And that's a barbell, some bumper plates, a pull-up bar, some dumbbells, and maybe a kettlebell. And I put together a program that I'm fucking proud of, because you can go do the flashy stuff here and there, but if you want a program that's going to get you crazy fit, that's what I got for you. And The Thrive program in particular is only $10 a month.
Mm.
Super
That's awesome.
cheap.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like pay to train with Matt or compare yourself to Matt. Yeah, hopefully you can beat
Yeah,
him.
you'll see me on the leaderboard every day. I put my time up there.
Just scroll to the top and you'll see it right there.
You'd be surprised, bro. You'd be surprised.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So Matt, we'll jump into the final 4 questions. We sent them to it. Yeah, awesome. So first question.
I did. I'm gonna admit, I read through them literally 5 minutes before I called you guys.
Oh, it's perfect. That's how, I'm pretty sure that's how every
That's
guest
more
does
than
it.
that's more than normal.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you had an opportunity to sit down and speak with anyone alive today and ask them anything you wanted, they would answer it honestly. Who would you choose and why?
Okay, so this is gonna. I read this question and I think that most CrossFitters will be disappointed with my answer because it's not a CrossFit related answer. It's a sport that I've been into for years that's not related to CrossFit directly, and that's climbing. There's a Boulder athlete, Boulder, Colorado athlete named Anton Krupichka, and you can look him up on Instagram. I think it goes by his name, which is Anton Krupichka. I'll send you guys it so you can put it in your link or whatever. But I've secretly stalked this guy on Instagram for years because I am so impressed with what he does in the outdoors. He was an endurance athlete, won the Leadville 100, which is an amazing mountain run. He then transitioned because of injury to long climbing events, including scrambling, which is what I'm into now. And scrambling is basically unroped climbing on easy climbing routes. And my personal favorite is anything that's like 800 to 1,200 feet of climbing, which is like what? Oh boy.
400 meters?
No,
60,
less.
like 300 meters,
yeah.
300 to 400 meters.
Yeah.
Yeah, 300 to 400 meters of unroped climbing in the climbing setting, and having these great long days where you're just moving over rock. I am so passionate about it right now because I'm just getting back into climbing, and it's been so fun for me and my wife. And this guy is the boss. He's the guy. And watching his exploits in the mountains really just inspire me to continue to drive forward. So that's the guy I'd like to sit down and talk to, because I want to learn what his progression was to get where he's at now, so that I could try to follow the same progression and enjoy the lifestyle that he has.
I have some follow-up questions and comments. So I recently went to a exclusive screening for a climbing movie, and I forget the fucking name of it, which is really annoying.
Free Solo?
No, not Free Solo, not the Alex Honnold one. A more recent one where they climb the Dawn Wall in one push.
Dawn Wall. It's called Dawn Wall.
That's it. Dawn Wall. The Dawn Wall. Have you seen that?
Oh my God, yeah.
Okay. Second question. Did you cry when the other guy crossed the thing that he couldn't cross, that they weren't sure he was going to cross?
I didn't cry, but I definitely, the hair on the back of my neck stood up, my hair on my arm stood up. It was, people love Free Solo, and I love Free Solo too, because it was a great movie, and it's really cool to see that athletic, which I consider to be the biggest athletic feat in all of history. But what those two guys, Tommy Caldwell, and I'm not sure how you say Kevin Jorgensen, his last name, what they did on the Dawn Wall was fucking incredible. And the fact that Tommy brought his partner along for the ride and was patient enough to watch him finish. It was heartbreaking at first, and then he finished, and it was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Thanks for ruining it.
No,
No worries. Go to the exclusive screening and then ruin it.
No, it was fuck's sake. Bro, it's such a sick movie. Obviously it was full of just like guys wearing like Columbia and Patagonia and shit and like North Face, so they're like all obsessed with climbing, and I'm just like the one CrossFitter in there, like over 100 kilos. Everyone's just going, who's this giant? Right. And when that came up, the whole theater got on their feet, and they were like, yeah, Like there was water flying around, there was soda flying around. No, man, I looked in the aisles, people were crying, like full crying, like they were obsessed. Like it was crazy. Like, this movie is like full cult film for them. Like it's a big deal. It's kind of like when you watched Every Second Counts and like John Wellborn finishes chest to bar Fran. Like, oh my god, John Wellborn.
Yeah.
That was the moment. Or when like Khalifa wins the 2008 games, like can't believe it. That was like that moment for those guys. But great film. Red Bull absolutely knocked it out of the park. Storytelling, filmography, like animations, all tied in. Like great film. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah. No, that's cool. I'm gonna have to follow this guy then, because I follow some of those climbers now after that movie just to kind of watch their freakishness. But
yeah,
this guy seems like he'd be a boss. It's cool. How do you deal
with
this
guy's on a this not quite the same level as those guys, but it's something that what I like about it is it's achievable for the three of us and for most CrossFitters. It's something that what he does we could all do to a lesser degree and a little slower speed. And that's what's really cool about it. You could learn from this guy and actually go out and complete what he does.
It's like ring roast. It's like we're doing the ring roast.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good. Matt, what do you do to go over the fear of the fact that you're 400 meters off the ground, you don't have a rope?
Well, this style of climbing that I'm doing now is very easy. So if you go into a climbing gym, the United States uses the Yosemite decimal system, which is a 5-dot, fill in the blank system. And what that means is it's class 5 climbing. And it gives you a scale from 1 to 15 now is the highest.
They went over in that film. Like all the sections were like 13 plus, right? In the dawn wall.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So 513 is insane. I mean, it would be like snatching 345. There's a small list of CrossFit. There's a small list of CrossFitters that can do that. So this would be like when you go into a climbing gym, and if the scale is from 50 to 515, those guys are climbing in the 13. Most climbing routes in a gym are 5-6 or harder. The routes that I'm climbing are like 50 to 52. So
steps.
If you go to my
steps,
it is. You're using your hands most of the time, but not all the time. And if you go to my Instagram and take a look at some of the pictures, you'll see it's a very low angle. But the cool part is there's crazy exposure. You will literally look over to the left and you've got 800 feet of nothing.
Oh my God.
And meanwhile, you're climbing the easiest stuff in the world. And it's a fucking blast, man. It's really, it just gets you, you feel alive.
Nice. That's awesome. All right, I'm gonna start looking into this. So second question. In fact, it was a long time on the first question. Second question. What is something, Matt, that you do every day now that you feel like is essential to the success of your day?
Weigh and measure my food.
Interesting. You do the zone diet still?
I don't. I stopped doing the zone diet in 2016, I think, 15 or 16, and I switched over to counting macros. Yeah. And I found that it was actually more effective for me. I saw better results, and I find it easy to do, and I love it.
So how do you, you obviously you can't do every meal. You're going to go out and stuff and eat at a restaurant and stuff. So you're obviously not going to bring your scale with you. That would be weird. But how do you, how do you make that easy on your life so that it's not too much of a burden? Like, what are some tips that you've picked up along the way that, because obviously some people want to know this stuff. They want to do it as well. So do you have some little secrets that you could help us with?
Well, first off, if you don't know anything about the macro diet or counting your macros, you should probably hire a coach. Working with a coach for anywhere from 8 weeks to 12 weeks is all you need. And it's a small investment in a lifetime of change. And the second thing I would say is that the 80-20 rule applies here. If you are if you're counting your macros 80% of the time and you're within a few grams every single day of each of the macro nutrients, you're going to see remarkable results. The other 20% of the time, go have a burger with your buddies and don't worry about how many macros you consumed. Be social. Don't be a weirdo counting your almonds.
What what result did you see? Because you're obviously in shape. You've been in shape most of your life. In fact, all of your life.
Yeah.
What sort of results did you see?
I put on more muscle mass and I lost body fat.
Mm.
I mean,
That's good.
like, yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue it. I went from like, I think I was probably at like 7 or 8% body fat down to 5. And my weight actually went up by 3 pounds. So pretty remarkable difference.
And what are we going to do with
And
that?
I ate more.
5% that's sitting around there. It's gross. Get rid of that.
I ate more though. That's the great part. I ate more.
Yeah. Okay. And your macros just based off like what your goals are, or are they more like what you just want to maintain?
So mine are actually set at a maintenance level based on your activity level. So there's a multiplier that you kind of fall between like 12 to 22 based on your activity level. I calculate mine at approximately a 14 because of my active job and doing, I train for about an hour a day. And I find that I'm able to maintain my weight at that number.
Yeah, nice. That's a good answer.
It's cool to see that because you see sometimes athletes, they finish up, I guess, their competitive career, and then their diet like goes completely off the rails. Like, we were with that guy who was like a professional kickboxer, I think something like that at a business meetup, but he's a professional athlete. And and it's like sometimes when they've dieted or they've like, had to restrict their diet for a long period, it's like they only want to eat seafood until they're dead. It's like a lifetime of cheating. Like the day after a comp is the rest of their life.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's good. I like that. Third thing, Matt, what is something recently that you believed in, but you changed your mind on?
Actually, when I read that question, nothing came to mind. So I hate to do this to you, but I really don't have an answer for that one. I switched jobs from, as a firefighter for a number of years. I left the fire service to pursue CrossFit for a number of years. And then a year and a half ago, I went back to being a firefighter. So that's about the closest thing I could come to.
That's cool.
Maybe we can expand on the macro thing. Was there anyone that made you switch from zone to macros?
I saw the results that a lot of my friends were getting. And I was lucky enough to hire a coach that worked really well for me. And that was about it. The thing worked out really well. They introduced me to a great coach, and I saw results within 12 weeks. And that was about it.
Yeah, awesome. And final question: is there a book or a quote that you enjoy that you want to leave the listeners with? Yeah,
there is, and I'm gonna have to put you on pause so I can actually find it. I have it here. I called you as soon as I got in here.
Go for it.
Let me track it down for 1 second.
Yeah, no, we're good. We can edit this after, so it's no stress. Do you reckon it's no wise?
Why did he take him out?
Huh?
That's something he's changed his mind on. Doesn't believe in wireless headphones.
No.
Maybe he's so attached to the wire as he walks away, like jolts.
Oh, fuck, I used to do that when I was getting used to them. Did you?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Although,
Fuck, he makes me want to do a WOD real bad. He makes me want to do thrusters. But I know I'll
you never do it again.
Yeah, the second I get 10 reps deep, I'm like, no. What am I doing? What am I doing? No, thrusters for like thrusters for strength work, I reckon is good.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
they're fucking fun. Just rip in.
Yeah, they're fun as long as they're not light. You don't have to do them for ages. Yeah. Like, remember when we used to do those sets on training plan, and it was like 20 rep max thruster, 10 rep max thruster. That was good. Like, I like that.
Not the heavy
20
sets. Yeah, like when you get 20, 10, 8, 6 was awesome.
Yeah, like the 10 rep max. That was sick. Yeah. All right, shoot.
Okay, I'm back and I have it.
Nice.
Okay, I'm going to read it to you because it's a little long, but it's something that I've always loved since I was about 16 years old. I read a bunch of Charles Bukowski books. He's a poet. He's a short story writer. He's also a novelist. If you've never heard of him, I highly recommend looking into Charles Bukowski's work. He's one of my favorite writers because if you like truth, he tells the truth. And this poem is called "The Laughing Heart" by Charles Bukowski. Your life is your life. Don't let it be clubbed into dank submission. Beyond the watch, there are ways out. There is a light somewhere. It may not be much light, but it beats in the darkness. Beyond the watch, the gods will offer you chances. Know them. Take them. You can't beat death, but you can beat death in life sometimes. And the more often you learn to do it, the more light there will be. Your life is your life. Know it while you have it. You are marvelous. The gods wait to delight in you. Fucking Charles Bukowski.
That's very powerful stuff. Cool. What does that mean for you, Matt?
To me, it's you're going to be beat down in life by things that will sidetrack you and potentially feel like you're overwhelmed and you can't overcome these obstacles. But you see a ray of light in everything, and you have the opportunity to learn from your mistakes and learn how to be a better you and how much certain things mean to you that you should follow. You should follow your heart. And those are those moments that you should cherish, is when you see that ray of light, you follow that light because it's going to lead you somewhere great. And if you pass up on those opportunities in life, your life will always be dark.
That's good.
That's cool.
I like it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap this up, Matt, what is next for you? You've achieved a lot in a very short period of time. I think we've been following you for 7-8 years, and you've done a lot, and you've shared a lot today, which we're very grateful for. But what is next for you? What are you most excited about over the next?
Besides destroying Miko at this Masters.
Yeah.
League.
As far as that stuff goes, the fitness stuff, what I'm excited about is living a fit life for the rest of my life. I think the competition stuff is beyond me now. I have no interest in competing, even at a master's level. I will do it for fun. In the case of going to the Rogue Invitational, if it works out for me, I will definitely go and do it for fun. Because I still carry a high level of fitness, and if I can inspire somebody my age to go out and get fit, then that's great. I'd love to do that. But I think as far as fit competition related parts of my life, I would like to stick to programming for people and teaching people what I know about CrossFit and CrossFit competitions, because I feel like over the years I've gathered a significant amount of information, not only on my own, but also with some of the, as you referred to them, OGs of CrossFit that I was and am very close to. And I think that was a very fulfilling part of my life. And I think it can be for a lot of other people, including teens or even, master's level people who have just gotten into it. And by teaching them some of the do's and don'ts of CrossFit competition, I feel like I can put their progress on fast forward, and I'd like to pass that along to other people. But my main goal in life now is to be a good husband to my wife. She put up with my shit for a long time, being outside in the garage for hours upon hours training and leaving town so that I could go to competitions and not being with her and doing the things that she loves. So I want to be a good husband to Sheree. And then I also want to be a great firefighter. I want to be as good at that profession as I was with CrossFit competition, and help people. That's why I got back into that business, is because I love helping people. I love the excitement of that job. I love the variety of that job. And if I can change somebody's life in an emergency situation, then fuck yeah, I'm stoked on that.
Man, they're blessed to have you on that fire squad. That you can pick anyone out of a burning building. Yeah, so they are all sorted in Denver. Fuck, if they got Matt Chan knocking down the door, fuck, they are sweet. They're
Did
like,
anyone start like really small fires just to like meet a CrossFit celebrity?
There's a fire.
Well, you know, hey,
Send Matt. It's like up 10 flights of stairs.
yeah.
if there happens to be fires in our area, I'm happy to go. I you know, too bad for them for having the fire, but I'd be happy to respond. So
Nice. That's awesome. All right, Matt. Like I said, we're very grateful to get you on. We'll just leave them with, they can follow you. It's Matt1Chan on Instagram.
Yep.
And the program For the Win, where can they find that?
If you can just go to trainftw.com. One of the things that I'd like to pass on to your listeners is we've got a 30-day free trial for the Thrive program. That there's no strings attached. We don't even want your email address. Just get and try it. If you love it, sign up after 30 days and give us your $10 a month for a fucking kick-ass program.
Nice.
So that's trainftw.com/thrive.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
Trainforthewin.com thrive.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. Thanks so much for being on, and we'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, gents. Thanks.
Thanks, mate.